Said hey to a Sportsman Dan shout out.
Rob,
Also, real quick, shout out Sportsman Dan.
no,
Let
you
this guy
go.
talk.
What'd you call in
Let
for?
this guy talk.
Oh, the 101. I just gotta go, man. I can't sweat. I gotta go. Bobby,
That's sick. That's
All right, welcome to episode 24 of the Sportsman Dan Show. What's up, y'all? How has everyone been? I am here with a national recap for my first ever national. I'm still a bit tired. I don't know if I have totally recovered from my first national, but it was a blast. I was there all 5 days, flew in Wednesday, flew out Sunday. I got a brief little recap. I had to make notes because so much happened, but getting right down to it, flew in Wednesday, got in early. I think my flight left Virginia around 6 a.m., so I got into Chicago, O'Hare, before 9 a.m. Went ahead and tried to get settled in my hotel, a little early check-in, and then right to the National. So it's kind of funny. I got in early. I didn't quite know when the VIP got in. I figured it was like 8 a.m. It turns out it was much later for Wednesday. VIP didn't get in, I don't think, till 1 a.m. or 1 p.m., excuse me. And they didn't let regular general admission in until 2 p.m. Well, I'm walking around the National around like 9 or 10 a.m., and I'm on the show floor just seeing people. I made an offer on a Tony Romo card, which the Tony Romo card is about a $40 to $50 card, tricolor patch. Guy had it for $75. I think I offered 40, and he. You can ask me what he said in person, but he was very offended. And I was like, dang. I was like, is the show going to be like that? But again, now I realized that that was like vendor to vendor only deals going on. I found that out because when I left the show floor and tried to re-enter after getting a coffee, they were like, whoa, you can't be in here. Like, your VIP doesn't get in until, 1 o'clock. I was like, I was just in here. And they're like, you shouldn't have been. I was like, oh, interesting. So I learned my lesson. I should have stayed on that show floor for a little longer because it was totally empty in there. Let me show you guys what it looked like. Just this is where I picked up my badge, the VIP badge. I paid for the VIP, and I think it's worth it because I was not trying to wait in any lines while I was at the National. Once people started getting in, it was getting a little more crazy. I think it was Gio there ripping, but I mean, getting to see the floor without anyone really on it was really cool on Wednesday. And then it did get crazy, and so I went ahead and I didn't buy that Tony Romo card I was talking about, but I did pick up this one. Growing up, I was wearing number 9. I was a backup quarterback for my, middle school football team, but Tony Romo was my hero, and I was looking to get some of his cards, some cool ones at the National. And after passing up on that first patch, I was like, if I'm going to get an auto, I'd like a good patch with it. This is the Reebok patch. Now, yes, it's a small Reebok patch. I believe it's from his pants, the pant Reebok patch. You can see a great auto there too, and I don't have a photo of the back of the card, but this is numbered to 5 of the franchise fabrics from Panini Threads 2010. This is a sick card. This is probably going straight to the PC. I did get another Romo patch card with an on-card auto, but I was pretty tired after just that Wednesday. Like I said, I got in early. I woke up at 4 a.m. to get to my flight, so I went to go grab some food, and some of y'all may know I have celiac disease, so I can't have gluten. I went on down to Bub City, which where I'm from we call, rednecks Bubs. All the Bubs used to hang out at Wawa. Some of my friends are Bubs. Bubs are very good people. But I was like, Bub City? What is this? And it was a little country barbecue joint. This was all gluten-free burger, fries, and a dedicated gluten-free fryer. The little things that matter to me. So I had a great meal at Bub City. Can't recommend it enough. And then I kept bumping into these guys, but I did also bump into the Ball Card Show boys on Wednesday and Thursday, and I think Friday as well. One of my first interviews when I was back with a Brit Doesn't Know Baseball, but I've just kept a connection with him, and, it was so cool finally meeting him in person, a little IRL meetup, but more to come about the Ball Card Show and the Ball Card boys. But man, that was just Wednesday, and that was a whirlwind as it is, and then it just continued from there. And actually, Thursday might have been my favorite day of the National. All right, so Thursday at the National. I was staying in a hotel a little bit north of the National in Rosemont, Illinois. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was like where all the pilots and actually the indie ball team was staying there when they came into town, playing the Chicago Dogs. But I was already Ubering to the National, and I was like, I want to go see a game while I'm here. Thursday lined up, the White Sox were playing the Yankees, so I Ubered on down to Southside Chicago. Which, if you haven't been to Southside Chicago, in my personal experience, it was exactly like the movies. That place, wow. But the actual stadium was fantastic. Guaranteed Rate Field was beautiful. I got to see Austin Wells hit a triple and then get thrown out at third because he fell off the bag. He actually he got there. He was safe. He just slid, he was a little too fast. Couldn't put the brakes on in time. And, yeah, it was great to see the Yankees fans just exultation, so happy, and then just so mad at Austin Wells. And a few choice words were said as well. But overall, actually, I sat in this seat for probably about an inning, maybe half an inning, inning and a half. I like to walk around new ballparks. I got ADHD. Part of the reason why I got the VIP pass, I just standing in lines for me is pure death. There is nothing worse for me than to have to stand in a line. I can't do it. I do it when I have to, like everyone else. I get it. I know I'm not special, but I do everything I can to avoid it. I was walking around Guarantee Rate Field. I saw every part of the field from the fan perspective. I will say the team store at Guarantee Rate Field is fantastic. They have it slightly separate from the stadium, so you have to walk over this like overpass. So it is a little removed from the field, which isn't great, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not that far removed compared to a lot of other team stores. But that, I think, gives it way more room, and it was awesome. I mean, very clean, massive. They had, the futuristic light board in the center. You're walking down the staircase. Well done for the White Sox. I'm a little upset that they set down David Sandlin after the Noah Schultz game yesterday. I'm recording this on August 8th. But, baseball is a business, but Sandlin deserves to be back up for the White Sox. They are a fun team, and that was a fun game. I ended up leaving that game, Ubering back to the National, and then who do I bump into? My first ever interview, Alex from Collectors MD. For those of you not familiar with Alex Efron, he is one of the most, honest people in the hobby. His messages rep responsibly, and he's literally lives by it. He's opened up about his story. I'm not going to share his story. Go check out Alex and Collectors MD to hear it, or our first interview, which he's giving me a hard time because I used some stupid AI graphic for the thumbnail, and it did a terrible distortion of his face. We laughed about it, but at the time, I remember I was freaking out because my first interview, and I pissed the guy off. But Alex is great. Like I said, honestly, one of the most genuine people in the hobby, as well as my boys from the Ball Card Show, Jason and Gary. Speaking of Jason and Gary, they're now with Sports Card Nonsense, and I saw Sports Card Nonsense was throwing a little party on Thursday at the Dueling Pianos, catered by Bub City, free food, free drink, but you had to RSVP ahead of time to get a little ticket from like Eventbrite. So I did that, probably when they first dropped it, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, because I'm like, oh, I know some guys from Sports Card Nonsense. Anyway, it was a great night. I'm not one to take a lot of photos and videos at parties. I think that should just stay there. But I will share this video. I did bump into a guy who's pretty special to me growing up. Gifted my man, Wee Man. We got a little Dodger. Show him off.
Boom.
Number to 99. I think it's a green wave refractor.
And then I also got an Otani.
Let's fucking go, man. My man, Wee Man.
Hell yeah.
Pardon my French there. But, hanging out with Wee Man, how cool is that? I got lucky. I pulled that Tommy Edman card at the White Sox game, and then I was just, I had it on me. I was like, I don't know, would Wee Man appreciate this? And turns out he was like, oh, I collect Dodgers. And I was like, do you mind if I get a video? And you see the video. It was sick. I was supposed to meet up with Wee Man the next day to rep some cards, but he was busy, and then he ended up coming later, and I was busy doing other stuff. But, the interaction with Wee Man alone, Jackass legend. He's top 5 in Jackass for me. And people have told me he's in their top 3. Now, some told me he's their number 1. I don't know if they're being honest. Johnny Knoxville was great back in the day. A lot of people liked Steve-O. A lot of people liked Bam. Ryan Dunn was great. There were a lot of good ones. But I mean, Wee Man is, I would say, top 3 of Jackass for me. And shout out Sports Card Nonsense and Moho Breaks putting on that awesome party on Thursday night. All right, day 3 of the National. This would be Friday for me. I'm not going to act like the National was all, sunshine and rainbows. It was, I saw what the lines were like getting in. I know I had to pay extra for the VIP pass, but I totally think it was worth it. Talking the National itself, I didn't do the PSA submission drop-off. I didn't do the Beckett submission drop-off. I didn't want to wait in the lines. I had a couple cards I maybe thought about maybe dropping off. But again, I was there to try to experience the most. I'm not trying to wait around. I saw Gary V. Wasn't trying to wait in line to meet Gary V. Saw King of the Cards, but there was a massive, I think it was an hour line to sell to King of Cards. There were a lot of lines in the National. You could wait in line all day in there. They're giving out free packs and different things. If that's what you're into, or the claw machine. The Backyard Breaks claw machine was wrapped around a couple different booths in that Breakers Pavilion. It was interesting, the Breakers Pavilion was set up. I think it was a good way to do it, put all the breakers together. I saw some different people describe it as a circus atmosphere, and that's exactly right. It was pretty cool. I'll show some videos that I got. One of them is my buddy Moot from Backyard Breaks. We actually went to
Hand of the people, Max.
Walking through Backyard Breaks, there's Max Holloway through with his belt, and then I didn't choose the right video, but my buddy Moody was on the stage as well with one of the belts. So there's us after. He let me hold one of the belts. It was a replica belt, but it's one of those like UFC replicas. It's like $800, and I think he got to keep one, so it's honestly pretty cool. And I just started going around. The National. I got lost on Friday. Wild Card, I thought had these really cool Slim Gems. I got a few of them myself. They're a really fun rip. If anybody's looking for some of these Slim Gems, I'll have them in my showcase. But the highlight of my Friday, there was a lot of highlights, I guess. How do you pick one? But meeting Michael Vick, 757 legend, getting the card signed for the PC, inscribed 757. This is such a cool moment. I've never done one of these sort of autograph signings before, and they do kind of herd people in like cattle. But hey, you pay the money, you wait, you go over there. I didn't really have to wait in line because I had the VIP, and then they just called, Michael Vick was at 3 o'clock, show up, Michael Vick. I waited 2 minutes, and they said, Michael Vick, VIP or all access. Walked in, 5 people in line in front of me. I didn't pay for the photo. In hindsight, maybe I should have. But it was cool. People already clowning me like, you're from Hampton Roads, Virginia. I've seen Michael Vick at the 7-Eleven. Why'd you pay it? But like, hey, he's doing his thing back home. I was here. He was there. Let me go ahead and get a card signed. I have enough of them. And I'm really happy with how this autograph turned out. It's pretty cool to interact with a guy that you've watched for so long. Now, some of y'all might have seen it on my Instagram, but I'd be remiss to not talk about the 1-in-1 Super Refractor I got. I went ahead and entered the lottery. I entered one of those boxes for the Topps, National cards. And I think it was like $220 a box, $240 after fees. But I pulled a Bobby Witt 1-in-1 Super Refractor and a Nick Kurtz numbered to 10 auto. This is my buddy. I forget his name, excuse me, but he pulled a 1-on-1 as well, and then a numbered auto of the early Han Solo card. I don't know the Star Wars after my childhood, right? The real Star Wars to me are episodes 4, 5, and 6, and episodes 1, 2, and 3. That's all I know. Rogue One lost me. But this was sick. We got the photo. He wanted a photo. We were just showing off our 1-on-1s, and someone else had a 1-on-1. It's the beauty of the National, meeting people. Speaking of which, I'm now in a Dynasty fantasy football league with my boys Will and Troy. It was one of those ones, I didn't remember how I met these guys. I was just, waiting in line for a drink or bumped into them. I think it was the Bobby Witt Super Refractor upstairs, and I remember. And just started talking to a guy, and he was a Cowboys fan as well. And then he was like, my buddy was just telling me about a guy who pulled a Bobby Witt 1-on-1. And I was like, dude, that was me. And then sure enough, his buddy comes back, and he's looking, he's like, wait, isn't that it was funny. And then we ended up hanging out for probably like 4-6 hours. I don't know. Ceci as well, I met her through Instagram or on X, I think. And then I'm just walking through the show, and she's like, oh, Dan. I ended up hanging out. She gave me a ride home. I appreciate that. Gary gave me a ride home from the ball card show. It's amazing the friends you meet from the hobby. And so those good people, they're just out there. Now, I will, forewarn some people that I thought I was really going to get along with. You meet in person, you're like, oh, maybe not so much. But that's how it goes. And, I think putting myself out there and doing the sports card, that's what the National is all about, because you just meet people nonstop. And a lot of them have similar interests. I was hanging out with some Knicks and Cowboys fans. I was like, you guys understand. I don't have to explain it to you. You guys are also Knicks and Cowboys fans. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, the National is not all sunshine and rainbows. In that upstairs area, it was way too crowded. The tables just need to be spaced a little bit further apart. I don't think they were maximizing the space the best way. I get the stage up there and everything. That was cool, but they probably should have just put that off to the side if they could have, and maybe spaced out the tables a little more. Overall, the amount of selection you get, it is a lot of Otani and the GOATs. But I was able to find some sick Tony Romo cards. Like I said, I showed one already. There's much more on my Instagram. It's going to block it off. The daggone green screen. I'm also moving, so I will have a dedicated background, and we'll be no longer using a green screen. But more to come on the Sportsman Dan Show. That's the sick Tony Romo I picked up there. That one is numbered to 10. The little color patch. It's not a tricolor patch, just a blue and white. But you can sort of see there. It looks like it's like an edge piece of the uniform. Super happy with Friday. And honestly, Friday, it didn't quite take the steam out of me for Saturday, but I was already, I think, dragging a bit by the time we got to Saturday. Oh, and this was pretty cool on Friday night. I'm at Dave & Buster's by myself on a Friday night, because that's how I roll. And I see a guy with a Bobby Witt Jr. jersey, and so I just tap him on the shoulder like, hey, check out what I pulled. And he's like, oh my gosh, you selling that? And so, yeah, I guess I would. So we ended up working out a deal, and I sell it to him. And he goes, is that your real last name? I'm like, yeah. And we got a weird European last name. We have the exact same last name. It was so funny, pure coincidence. I think this is my cousin from Kansas. But it was really cool to, I don't know, just random, chance, encounter. And then we end up having the same last name. Like I said, probably more common for other people without a weird one.
Cam.
Saturday.
Pirates. Stop it!
Dude, 1 of 25?
It was just like, hot hands, I guess, whatever you want to call it. But, I just like, how can I keep topping it? You just keep meeting more people, having more of a good time. Saturday, again, I might take the cake. I was back at my hotel. Like I said, I was already tired, already had a few. And then I get a call from my buddy. And he's like, hey, I can get you into the, private party with Johnny Manziel. And I was like, I think I have to go to this. Johnny's a man, got a fist bump. I got to tell him I was from Killeen, Texas. So I think that helped me out. But I think the real highlight was when Johnny Manziel left the party. I was leaving his space. He's doing his thing. He's Money Manziel. But we were in the same proximity. When he left, I talked to him briefly about Friday Night Lights. And I felt like a squeeze on my bicep, and I turned, and it was like the back of Johnny Manziel's head, and then he left the party. But he hit me with like that goodbye squeeze, and so that made my life pretty much. No, I mean that guy. Look up his stats his sophomore year at Texas A&M. Johnny football. That was just a super cool encounter. Getting a fist bump, talk a little Friday Night Lights with Johnny football. Not a bad Saturday. And shout out my buddy. You know who you are. Sunday rolled around. I didn't interact with anybody. I didn't go to the show. I'll break it to you guys. I had gotten so many cards I needed, and I showed a lot of them off on Instagram. I didn't think this was the place to show off cards. A couple, right? The Grails, the Tony Romos. But I picked up a lot of cool stuff for the $5 box. Just like Chris Johnson rookies, Riley Leonard rookie, different cool rookies that I think we'll appreciate over time. Man, Sunday I sat at a Panera Bread outside. I got some, I forget the name of it. It was like Bebop, Asian Bebop. I think Ceci recommended it, but that place was great. Had gluten-free. Southside Panera Bread, got a coffee for probably 4 hours before my flight. Just nothing. Listening to the traffic. No noise. No crowd. I couldn't do any more crowds. I heard people were selling their VIP passes for $1,000. Right when I got my VIP package, a guy from Australia was trying to buy my Gary V stickers. Successfully, he wanted them for $5. I told him 10. He said, no way, they're not worth that. He came back 30 seconds later and paid me $10 for the Gary V stickers. I don't know what they're worth, but they were not worth $10 to me. Yeah, I was able to move some cards to get more money for Kobe Mayo. I got a sick Reed Trimble PSA 10 gold to 50 auto. Those of you not familiar with Reed Trimble on the Norfolk Tides, outfielder, switch hitter, speed, power. He has pretty good bat to ball skills. I think that's a guy to watch. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. Wild card. I don't know. I might become the wild card guy. I was at their booth a little too long, and I know they're the cheap stuff. They're not tops. They're unlicensed. They make really cool cards, and I like what they do with the manga designs. I got an Akeem Elijah. I pulled an Akeem Elijah one-on-one auto, and it's a true one-on-one. Which come talk to me at the shows, and I can explain the true one-on-one versus all the other one-on-ones. But it really is just what it says. They mark a true one-on-one what it is, a true one-of-one, so there's no mystery. Because even Topps and, of course, Leaf, there's a lot of one-on-ones out there, and you don't know what does a one-on-one mean if there's 50 one-on-ones, right? It's obviously there's slightly different parallels, but it's good to know what that true one-on-one is. And if I think I say one-on-one one more time, then I will combust. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This is the Sportsman Dan Show, and I look forward to no longer having this little graphic background. I'm going to have a nice little display in the new studio to come soon.